Annyeonghaseyo, welcome to the Land of Korean Cinema. We have a new Whispering Corridors movie. I reviewed all previous 5, so let's talk about the 6th one of this horror franchise called The Humming, or Yagogadam Yasaban Jeyagi, Mogyo. The movie stars Kim Seo-hyung, an amazing actress, Go-wa Sky-Castle, Kim Yeon-soo, Cherry, Park Se-yeon, and others. Kim Seo-hyung returns as a vice principal to the school she graduated from. She clearly has a history with that place, but even she doesn't seem to know what it is exactly. Soon strange things start happening. Somebody is humming a melody in a locker room, the students say a ghost is haunting the school, and apparently a lot of students have dark secrets too. Since I reviewed all of the previous movies, let's recap them real quick. The first one looks a bit amateurish by today's standards, but it's actually pretty good. The second one is one of the worst movies ever. A total disaster. The third one, Wishing Stars, is probably my favorite. That's a really well done movie. And honestly, the fourth one, called Voice, is not too far behind the third one. There's a little twist in the end which I didn't really like, but overall it was a pretty good movie. The fifth one? No. Just no. So how is the new one? Well, it's surprisingly good. All of the previous movies had similar themes in common. All of them take place in Olgar high schools, all of them deal with the hardships of student life, abuse at school, teen suicides, all that not so fun stuff. The Humming is no exception, but somehow it's so much more mature about it than the previous movies. And it's true for the whole movie, somehow it's a lot deeper and a lot more consistent than the others. There are so many things this movie does right, so let's talk about them. First off, the look of the movie. The hallways resemble the school of the first movie, the outside of the school resemble the fourth movie, certain set pieces in the locker room remind me of the third one. There are so many little visual connections to the previous movies, except they all look better now. This is a very stylishly filmed movie, there are so many great shots, some great framing, the lighting is really good. I love all the hallway shots, they all look incredible, and as I said, they look familiar, if you've seen the first one. Best cinematography of this franchise, for sure. Second, the pacing. This film has such a consistent flow to it. I can't even think of another movie that is so evenly paced. There's nothing sudden about this movie, it takes its time even with the horror bits. It all just kind of unfolds by itself. But it's not slow either, and actually there's a lot happening. But somehow it all flows so naturally, it's pretty remarkable. And it does magic to the horror too. This is not the type of horror that operates with cheap scares. I think there are only 2 jump scares in the whole movie. Instead, there's a lot of dread. A lot of it. The scenes are built up slowly, the tension is slowly rising, and it makes you feel really uncomfortable. I thought it was very effective. This movie doesn't want to scare you, it wants to disturb you. And it works. It works because the film has a very consistent atmosphere too. It's dark and gloomy, and honestly, really sad. It's a sad movie. It's not overbearing, but it's there right from the first scene, which is a great scene by the way. So the movie is not only consistent with its pacing, but with its atmosphere too, and it makes the horror bits much more effective. Now, if you don't like it when horrors go more for atmosphere rather than actual scares, you'll be quite disappointed. I personally prefer these kind of movies because they leave room for drama and for the characters. That's another great thing about this film. The main character is really well fleshed out, not to mention how amazing of a job Kim Seo-hyung did portraying this character. First of all, she always has this cold arrogance about her, whatever she does. She's such a charismatic actress and a very versatile one too. And this movie allows her to be really broken and vulnerable, but also potentially really dangerous. The other great thing is that information is given to us very slowly. It does 2 things. It keeps your interest level up, and it also avoids exposition scenes. There's very little exposition in this movie. Everything you need to know is shown on the screen. This is a movie that respects its audience, which is quite common for Korean movies, and a big reason why I fell in love with them. But to experience that in the context of this movie was pretty special. It's like, wanna know what's happening? Well, pay attention. But it's also great because it keeps you disoriented for a long time. The more you know, the more you feel like you don't know anything. But the way stories and little storylines slowly start to come together is just amazing. Let's just say that there are secrets in the past and in the present too. And if that wasn't enough, The Humming is also pretty much a psychological thriller. Unfortunately, I can't say much about it without spoiling a lot of things, but it's there and it works. It works so much that I think this movie is much more of a thriller than a horror. Interestingly enough, the horror is a tool of awakening for the main character. In a way. I can't say more. But regarding the end of the movie, if you happen to not know what happened in the city of Gwangju in 1980, I suggest to look it up. I saw some comments online where people said they did not understand what was going on. If you saw a Taxi Driver, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's not like that here, but again, it's a spoiler, so I shut up. Look up the Gwangju Uprising. I guess my only problem with the movie is that it left me wanting a little bit more horror. By the end, the movie gets really dark, which is great, but as I said, it was more of a thriller, which I love, but I really enjoyed the horror here, and I wanted some more. There are also some students whose screen time could have been cut way shorter. I'm not sure whether all of their presence is justified. It does make for a few scenes that are not as strong as the rest, but only because the rest is really strong. But overall, The Humming is a surprisingly mature and consistent movie. It's not the kind of horror that mainstream audiences like nowadays, it's much more deep and layered and thoughtful. Like I said, surprisingly good. especially after the previous one, which was really bad. And Kim So-young is amazing. I'm gonna give The Humming 85%. The best Whispering Corridors movie, honestly. Go watch it. Get out of here. 여러분, 오늘은 여기까지만 해요. 영상 봐주셔서 감사합니다. 이 영상 좋아하면 구독과 좋아요 잘 부탁드립니다. See you very soon. 다음 시간에 만나요, 여러분. 안녕히 계세요. Bye.